After we moved, we did have several other small experiences. And I think that most of these small experiences make up one big experience. One time, I had stayed home with my siblings. We had grown from 3 to 4. We had a little brother, and my parents had gone out for the night. My oldest sister, my younger sister, and my little brother were upstairs putting their pajamas on. I already had my pajamas on, and I was downstairs waiting for them. We were going to watch a movie together. I had the popcorn ready, I had the TV ready, just waiting for them to come down so I could press play. The living room was dark. We had a couch that was up against a wall with the windows, and straight ahead was the TV. To the left of the TV was an opening, because it was like the hallway to go towards the front door. To the right of that, like just a small space, was a staircase that led up to the upstairs bedrooms. To the left of that, if you walk down the stairs, you could go like to the right towards the front door, or you could go into the dining room. In between the kitchen and the dining room, like there's another opening. If someone were to go into the kitchen, they can go through that opening and be in the dining room, and they can make their way around and go through that little hallway, and they're in the living room. There's no space, there's nothing separating the kitchen and the living room. I'm sitting on the couch and I'm waiting for my siblings. It's dark. I see what I think is my little brother running from the stairs to the dining room. So I just saw like a small dark shadow like go by from the stairs to the living room. But it wasn't even like a shadow. It had more form to it. Like it was the shape of a body, and more specifically, the shape of a small child. I thought, oh, he's trying to scare me. He's gonna go around the dining room through that little entrance and come in through the kitchen to try to scare me, right? I got up, laughing to myself a bit because I thought I saw him and I'm gonna go around and try to scare him. I quietly get up and I'm going through the kitchen, going through that little entrance, and I turn the corner to face the dining room. There's nothing. And I'm like, what the heck is going on? At that very moment, my older sister turns the stairs light on. I see her, my little sister, and my little brother starting to walk downstairs. Again, I just get so scared, and I run through the kitchen, back onto the couch, and I just threw myself on the couch. I must have done it in such a way that my older sister knew that there was something wrong, or thought that I was doing something I wasn't supposed to, because she said, what are you doing? She probably thought that I was doing something. I just shook my head and said, nothing. She asked again, what are you doing? Like, why were you running? I told her, I saw our little brother run down the stairs into the dining room. And she looked at me with a puzzled look on her face, and she said, no, he's been upstairs. I was putting his pajamas on. We just left it at that, but I saw someone running from the stairs. Throughout all these experiences that I've had, I try to talk myself out of it. I keep thinking to myself, okay, maybe, some lights were playing some tricks. It was like a trick of lights or something. Like, I don't know. I just keep trying to make sense of it. But I always go back to, no, I know what I saw. I know what I saw. There's no changing that. Around this time, there were multiple things happening. We were all going through a rough time as a family, and I think that this kind of made my parents try to find their way back to their religion. One night, my dad had the Bible out on his nightstand, and Bibles are really big, really thick. He had it out on his nightstand, and all of a sudden, he was awoken by a loud boom. He wakes up right away, turns the light on, and he saw that the Bible was across the room on the floor, as if something had taken the Bible and thrown it across the room. And I don't know what it could have been, but clearly there was something that was trying to get our attention, because sometime, maybe a few months after I saw what I thought was my little brother running from the stairs to the dining room, my dad saw a small child running from the hallway from the bedrooms into the laundry room. It's not like it was like a small space that he saw this and that he could have mistaken someone else for, or just, again, like seen something that wasn't really there. It's like a pretty big gap. He thought that it was my younger brother, and he went into the laundry room and there was no one there. So when I told my parents about what I saw, they cautioned us to keep an eye on our little brother, because from their experiences, when you start seeing things like this, it's a warning sign that something is going to happen. It happened when, unfortunately, my mom had a miscarriage, that they were seeing shadows, and all of a sudden, we're seeing shadows of a small child again. That was very strange. Then fast forward maybe 2-3 years from that point, I was in my bedroom, and I was just putting some clothes away, and my younger sister was going to hang out with me in my bedroom. She had gone downstairs to grab something. She was making her way back upstairs. I heard her coming up the stairs, and I know that it was her because it was only her and I at home at the time. There was no one else home. She was walking up the stairs, and I heard another set of steps behind her. I thought to myself, oh, did they leave my little brother at home without me realizing it? What's going on? I distinctly heard another set of steps behind her. She runs into the room and immediately turns back to look behind her. When she does that, I asked her, "Where's our little brother?" She said, "He is not here. Did you hear that too?" I told her, "The footsteps?" And she said, "Yeah." And I said, "Yes, I heard them. Who was that?" And she said, "I don't know." The way that she tells it is she was downstairs grabbing her backpack or whatever it was, and she's going up the stairs. She said that about halfway through the first set of steps, she heard someone walking behind her. And the way that I heard it too, it sounded like heavy footsteps. It wasn't like little pitter-patter of footsteps. It was almost, the way that I envision it is a heavy set of boots walking behind her. She said that she heard that, and she was too scared to turn around. She just made her way up the stairs faster and ran down the hallway into my bedroom. That's when she finally got the courage to turn around. We both heard a second set of footsteps. There's no mistaking that. We still talk about it to this day because we are firm in what we heard. It was just really odd. But nothing happened directly after that. In that house too is where I had one of the strangest experiences of my entire life. I was about 14. I had been really upset because my older sister and my younger sister were using my karaoke machine without my permission. I was really mad at them and I wanted to take it away from them. But my mom said that I had to let them use it. So I'm just being a teenager and bawling my eyes out in the bathroom, when all of a sudden I felt a presence in the bathroom with me. I'm just sitting on my counter, not the sink, but on the counter. I'm just crying away and I feel a presence. It was almost like a spark where it really got my attention. I look up and immediately I asked, "Is someone there?" Obviously, I didn't get a reply. There was no response, but it was very evident to me in how I was feeling that there was someone there. I don't know why. To this day, I can't explain why. I just got this sense that it was the baby that my mom had miscarried. It sounds very strange and it just sounds very odd, but that's what I felt. And if you recall at the beginning of this story, I was about 3, almost 4 years old at the time. I had no real idea of what was going on, of what happened. My parents never really talked to us about it because 1, we wouldn't understand, and 2, it was something that they didn't want to discuss. It was too sad for them. They never told us what exactly happened. I never knew why the baby had miscarried, right? I'm 14 and I get the sense that it's the baby that my mom miscarried that is in the bathroom with me. I ask it, "Are you the baby?" I didn't get an audible response. I just got this kind of overwhelming feeling of almost comfort. There's a very distinct feeling that you get when it's, I guess, what you would call a dark entity and what you would call a light entity. When it's something evil, you feel it. You feel scared. You feel fear. But when it's something else, you're almost comforted. I don't know how to explain it other than just warm, fuzzy feelings inside. That was the feeling that I would get when I would see these shadows as a child. I almost started talking to it, and the weirdest part of all of it was not that I was talking to a dead baby, but that the answers that I was getting were not audible, but it was almost as if someone were putting a thought in my head. And I had never known how to explain that before until I explained it that way. You don't hear anything. It's almost as if you have a thought that's not your own. I asked it, "Why did you die?" The response that I was getting was an image in my head. It was almost like a face. It wasn't very distinct though, but it was like a face, and the top of the head was like jagged, or it was like there was a chunk missing. The response that I took from that was there was something wrong with your head, like there was part of your head was missing. And I thought that was very strange, because why, as a 14-year-old, would I have a thought like that? I also got this thought put in my head that the baby wanted to say that he wished that he had been born because my mom is a really good mom, and he would have wanted to have her as his mom. I say he and his because that's the impression or the feeling that I got was that it was a boy. I was left very just in awe of this experience. Later on that day, I was really in my head, thinking about this, and my older sister noticed. She asked me, "What's wrong?" And I told her I had something weird happen, and I told her what happened, and she convinced me to tell my mom, even though I didn't want to. Later that day, we got together with my mom in her bedroom, and it was just the three of us, my older sister, my mom, and I. And she implored me to tell my mom what happened. I started telling her what happened, and my sister asked, "What did the baby die from?" My mom replied, and she said, at this point, my mom was crying, and she said that the baby had died. She had a miscarriage because the baby had anencephaly, which is when the spinal cord, something happens with the spinal cord, and basically the head doesn't form correctly. The whole baby forms correctly except for the head. So the head doesn't close properly. There's blood clots flowing out of the baby's head into the womb, and it can kill the mother too. That's not something that can really be fixed, or it couldn't at the time. I haven't done any more research on it or anything, but basically the baby's head doesn't close. There's a hole in their head. So that, as soon as she said that, I started bawling because there was just no way I could have known. No way I could have known. They had never told us what happened. We were too young at the time. They never explained it to us, never talked to us about it. So for me to know that was just absolutely wild. It was insane. Especially the way that I received that information. I've never had that experience before or after. It was a very unique, very indescribable experience. I had so many experiences and things that scared me, so I've actively closed myself off to it. This incident took place in the second home, where I had already seen two shadows, and where my passed away or miscarried sibling spoke to me. In that home, we were experiencing multiple things. More of my family members were as well. In about 2010, we got our first dog. She was a poodle, and she was maybe only about 8 pounds, 9 pounds. She was pretty small. On one occasion, she was old enough to sleep on the bed with us. My younger sister and I shared a room at the time. She had her twin-sized bed, and I was in another, and I had our dog sleeping on the bed with me. These were high beds. The frame was very high off the floor, and so was the mattress for some reason. Our dog wouldn't typically just jump off the bed. It would have been a very high jump for her and could have been dangerous for her because she could have gotten hurt. On one particular night, she was sleeping on my bed. I woke up because I heard her growling. Open my eyes, and I see that she's staring at this corner very intently. In that corner, we had a nightlight plugged in. The room wasn't fully dark. I didn't see anything in that corner. I thought maybe she's looking at a mosquito. She saw a bug or something. But the way that she was growling it wasn't I'm annoyed or I want to play. It was a daring growl. She was really trying to scare something off. She's growling at this corner, and I'm lifting myself out of bed, watching her and asking, "What's going on?" and rubbing her back. And then my younger sister wakes up because her growls, they turned into snarls. She was snarling at whatever she was looking at in the corner of the room. Almost as soon as my sister wakes up, our dog just starts howling. She's barking at this thing in the corner. The most aggressive bark I've ever heard from her before or since. This has never again happened, and we have 4 dogs at home now. She is howling and barking, and then she jumps off and takes off. The door to the room was open, so she just took off chasing something, or what appeared to be chasing something, down the hallway, and just barking like a maniac. I don't know how else to explain it. It just so aggressive. She just continued chasing something down the hallway, and everything was completely dark, and she chased it into our loft area. She was so loud and so fast. Everything was just so intense that like my parents woke up right away. They turned all the lights on, opened their bedroom door. They thought that something had happened, like someone had broken in or something, because it was just that intense. But I never saw anything. It didn't happen again. It was just very eerie because she was like looking at something and then jumped off the bed and took off chasing something. I think as we started getting more dogs, that just things in the home definitely were minimized. Incidents didn't take place as much. I think that perhaps it was something maybe malicious. I think she sensed something that was definitely there to do some sort of harm, because they do say that dogs are more sensitive to those types of things, but also they know when someone carries good energy or bad energy, and that includes humans. They sometimes don't like certain people and really gravitate towards others. I think they just feel when someone has all this negative energy, and they will not like them or growl at them, bark at them. Whatever she saw was something malicious. And it makes it especially eerie that it was in the corner of our bedroom, almost as if there was something or someone standing there watching us.